Okay, welcome to Wellness Wednesday. This is the first full week of September, and it's a great time a lot of people are starting their back to school wellness routine. Like they want to get rid of summer pounds. They're starting back at the gym. Kids are starting back with sports. So it's just more of a scheduled time. So it's a great time to renew your commitment to getting fit, to changing some habits that may have developed over the ease of summer and getting ready for the holidays and the new year. So this is the perfect time to start. So just a little bit about Wellness Wednesday. So I'm restarting. I was doing every Wednesday and we kind of had a little bit of a break in the summer, and I'm excited to get started again because this is a free coaching opportunity for my clients and for people that are interested in dabbling into learning more about fundamentals of health. And it's my way of giving to the community a free service so that it's something you don't have to pay for. And it's also a way for me to connect with other people and all my community. So I want to give you some simple and sustainable steps. So when I worked with a medical weight loss program and a wellness center, I would have clients that would begin a 4 to 8 month journey. And we would always start, initially we would get blood work. But even before the blood work came back, we would meet for what we call as first steps. So I decided to do a first steps meeting with all of you. And this is like where you could start. Okay. So let's talk about I hate to start with elimination, but we're going to start with what should you not eat? What should we look for in food, and how do we read a label? How do we know what's good and what's bad? And one of the things I want to tell you is you really can get tricked by a lot of the labeling on food. So sometimes they use buzzwords like healthy or keto or low fat or low carb and organic. And it doesn't mean it's healthy. So we really have to look at the ingredients. To simplify it, by eating whole foods. So, shopping the perimeter of the store, where we find the produce, we find vegetables and fruit, and we find our meat and our seafood. We find our eggs, and we find things like that that we can put together meals without using any processed food. Whenever we have a package, we want to look at the ingredients, and we're looking for not too many ingredients, number one, and we want to be able to understand what the ingredients are. So let's just start there. So a couple of things that we really want to eliminate and we really don't want in our diet. Number one would be seed oils. I know you've probably heard a lot about that with the Make America Healthy Again, and the awareness that a lot of people have now that they never had before of things like canola oil, vegetable oils, soybean oil, sunflower oil. And it's funny because it kind of sounds healthy, right? Sunflower oil or vegetable oil. You're thinking, this must be good for me. Unfortunately, it's not. It's highly processed. And I'm not going to get into the science about these things. I just want to give you the cliff notes. You can always dive deeper, and I can make recommendations for some books if you're interested in learning more. But just know that these oils are quite inflammatory. They cause a lot of problems in the body. So we really don't want them at all in our diet. Unfortunately, it's really hard to completely avoid them because usually restaurants will be using these types of oils because they're cheap. They work well with high heat, so they're not really thinking of the long-term health of their patrons. So this is really good to know that if in your kitchen, none of these oils should be there. So we want to use good fats to cook with: ghee, butter, extra virgin organic olive oil, avocado oil, and beef tallow. These are good fats that we can cook in. And we don't want, olive oil. Avocado oil has a higher point to a heating point, and so does ghee. Olive oil is really good for just like lightly sauteing food or drizzling after you've cooked it. A high quality olive oil is really important. But let's just get to some basic foods. I want to show you, I'm actually going to share my screen because I'd like to give you an idea of what I'm talking about with ingredients and show you how we can be tricked So I'm going to pull up a pretty, not this one. I want to find I'm going to stop share for a second, and I'm going to find the link to Premier Protein because I'm going to show you some popular protein drinks that a lot of my clients would say that they would take in. And, yes, they were getting protein, which was really great because a lot of times we're not eating enough protein. We'll get to that. But we need to find the right sources. So let's look at this Premier Protein. So Premier Protein tastes really good. It does have 20 grams of protein in a single serving. It's low sugar. I'm just going to pull up this vanilla one right here, and I want to find the ingredients. So here we're going to look at number one, how to read a label. So the first thing we're going to look at is a serving size. So something that often happens is it might say on the label, like it's only 130 calories and 2 net carbs or something like that. But then you flip over the bag and you find that there may be 5 servings in that one little bag. And it's like, now you have to really break up the servings because maybe if you eat the whole bag, you've just eaten a meal or you've taken in more carbohydrates or fat than you're looking for your particular goals. So this up looks like this is in Spanish, but okay, we can look at it anyway. So we see serving size. Oops, here we go. Wait, let me just try to find one and not, this is funny that it's Spanish. Okay, but so we see that one bottle is a serving size. That's pretty easy. And then we're going to look at the carbohydrates. Total is 4. We see the protein is actually 30, which is great. Okay. But what we want to look at is the ingredients. And I'm going to have to find this not in Spanish. So let me go back. That's funny. Okay. So here we go. Premier Protein. This looks English. Let's take a look at this label. Okay. So we see that the serving size is 1 container. We see that the carbohydrates are 4 and the fat is 3 and the protein is 30. But let's take a look at the ingredients. So that fits the profile. That would be a really good, like low carb, high protein supplement, like a snack or added to a small breakfast or lunch. So we have water, we have milk protein concentrate, we have calcium, caspinate, and then we have less than 1%, but let's take a look at the oil that they use. High oleic sunflower oil or soybean oil. Natural and artificial flavors, which we do not want. And then there's some other ingredients like some circulose, which is also not a favorable ingredient. So there's a lot of things in here that they kind of throw in, and they throw in some nutrients, but it's basically called enriched. So just right away, as soon as I see any kind of sunflower or soybean oil, I'm not going to get that product. The reason being is because we're negating the positive of getting that protein, but we're also then causing some cellular damage, and we don't want to do that. Let's look at Boost. I just want to bring this up because it's really upsetting that this is like a nutritional drink that is in promoted for elderly people, and they even serve this in hospitals, and they make it sound like it's something healthy. And it's not. It has, let's see, the ingredients don't seem to be on here. I don't know why. Well, sometimes they make it difficult to find the ingredients. If that's the case, you definitely don't want to purchase it. Let's see if we can find it on this one. Nope. So anyway, there is, just spoiler alert, there is vegetable oil in this. So we don't want these kind of things as nutritional supplements or nutritional food. Let's see, maybe it does show me the ingredients here, but not. Yep, okay, here we go. In this Boost that is given in hospitals, that is promoted by doctors to give to the elderly to get nutrition, the first ingredient is water and then glucose syrup, then canola oil, and then sugar. This is not health food people. This is poison. Then we go on to read that there's natural flavors, which we don't know what that means. There's carrageenan, which is a cancer promoting ingredient. This is not something that we should be ingesting. So just a little bit of an idea of how to read labels. Because it's so important. You know, we're a lot of times we're busy, we're shopping, we're going through the food aisles, and we're kind of grabbing things based on what looks good. And I know it takes a little bit more time, but I promise that once you find some really high quality products that you can use and eat and use for snacks, that it'll get faster, but it's worth the trouble. So where do I start? Like, what should I be eating? So we just talked about what we should really be eliminating. So the canola oil, vegetable oil, soybean oil, sunflower oil. Dr. Kate Shanahan, if you look her up, Kate with a C, Cait, sorry. She wrote a book about all about these dangerous oils. And on her website, she actually has a printable good fat and bad fat chart that I actually share with my clients and I point to for information. She wrote the book Dark Calories, and that's her newest book. And then she wrote the book Deep Nutrition, and her story is amazing. So if you want to dive deeper into that world and understand a little bit more of the why you shouldn't be ingesting this, definitely check out those books and check out her website. So we also don't want to be taking in extra sugar. Okay, so if we see sugar as an added ingredient, we want to avoid that. We want to avoid food dyes because they can cause harm to us. We see this a lot. You know, now they're actually banning food dyes, which is great because it causes ADHD symptoms in children. And they're found in a lot of our cereals and common foods that we feed kids. The other thing that I want to bring in, but what should we eat? So again, we talked about shopping the perimeter of the food store and really basing your meals out of whole foods and prepping. Okay. And again, this doesn't have to be hard. One of my best resources is the Diet Doctor. I love that app because there's like great meal plans, great meal suggestions that are super simple and don't require a great deal of time of preparation. So they have meal plans for higher protein, lower carb. And again, I'm not promoting a specific diet. The way I coach my clients is very customized and I promote whole food. Okay. I know a lot of people that you may follow or you see on Instagram may be paleo or keto or carnivore, vegan. None of that applies. I work with what my clients enjoy eating, and then I help them to create delicious meal plans that are nutritious and nutrient dense. Let me show you some examples of this happens to be a keto site. Again, I'm not promoting keto. Sometimes it can be really beneficial to do a keto-based diet to initially get some fat burning. So we know that we want to avoid the second thing up next to, I'm sorry, the third thing. So we have oils, we have excess sugar, and processed carbohydrates. Things coming from carbohydrates coming from bread, pasta, crackers, cookies, those types of things. I'm not demonizing carbohydrates coming from whole food, which would be sweet potatoes, Japanese yams, butternut squash, all the squashes, even fruit. We do have to be a little careful with fruit. We don't want to overdo it. Again, there's always healthy, just because it's healthy doesn't mean you should overdo it. Can't actually think about fruit as nature's candy. Okay. So there's some good ideas. This is a website, perfectketo.com, and they have some great snacks that maybe, and I'm not a snack promoter, but sometimes we need some options, right? As we're getting to a point where we're eating 2 to 3 meals a day and we're stopping the snacking. But let's say you are hungry and you're feeling a little hungry and at dinner time isn't for another hour or two and you might want a snack. So I'm going to pass by some of the ones I don't love, but there's some sometimes crunchy treats like these macadamia nuts are super nutrient dense. Again, We have to look at our portion. So we always want to look at what is the serving size. So this is a macadamia nut with sea salt. Um, they also give like, I know a whole fat, not low fat, whole fat Greek yogurt or cottage cheese can be a snack, or it can actually be a meal, depending on how much you have. I like that they show boiled eggs. I mean, a hard boiled egg can be very satiating because it's got protein in it and it has fat, and it's very low calorie, which we're not counting calories, but if it's very low, it's not going to overfill you up. It'll be a nice snack. And again, this could be a great breakfast. So when I look at a meal, I teach my clients about protein because it is vital that we get protein. We need those amino acids for muscle building. We need it for satiation of our food. Like if we just kind of ate things that didn't have protein or good fat, we might feel very unsatiated and we're going to feel overly hungry. And the reason for that is because even if we're eating, the body is craving certain nutrients. So when I look at protein, I usually recommend at least 25 grams of protein per meal. And this way we're ensuring that we're getting 75 grams in a day. So what is 25 grams of protein? If I asked you, how many grams of protein do you eat? Would you be able to tell me approximately? And the answer is probably no. And then the next question is, how much protein is in a specific food? So we get primarily high quality protein from our eggs, from our meat, from our fish sources, although there's other sources. I'm not going to get into the beans and the vegetarian type of protein at this moment, but let's just talk about poultry and steak and fish. And we can estimate that we get 1 gram, I'm sorry, 7 grams for every ounce. So this is where a food scale is a great tool to have in your kitchen. So I might want to put chicken on my salad, let's just say. And I have a lot of clients that say, well, I have protein, I have chicken on my salad. And I ask, how much chicken? And they say, I don't know. So this is a great tool because I can take my chicken, I can put it on my food scale. Now, you'd be surprised. 3 ounces of chicken actually looks like a lot. But the great thing about chicken, for example, is that it is a very high protein food. It is lower, it's almost no fat depending on which cut you get. So I can add my fat like with olive oil or avocado to my salad. And then I can eat a lot more of it because it's very low calorie. Okay. So by having 3 ounces, I'm only yielding about 21 grams of protein. Where if I just have 4 or 5 ounces, I'm really upping my protein and I'm upping my satiation and I can eat more. So the idea of eating healthy isn't dieting and making sure you're cutting all your portions and calories. Okay. That's not what we're looking to do. We want nutrition. So by having a food scale, I can now weigh out 4 to 6 ounces. And now I'm having a substantial amount that's actually going to fill me up. So I'm not going to be hungry in 2 hours where I need to snack. An egg, okay, I often hear, what do you eat for breakfast? I have one egg. Well, one egg and maybe some other things. Well, one egg is only 6 grams of protein and 7 grams of fat. So, in order for me to get an appropriate amount of protein coming from eggs, I need to have at least 4 eggs. And somebody's going to probably be thinking in their mind, oh, I'm watching my cholesterol. That's going to be another subject for another time, but I promise you, you do not have to worry about cholesterol in your egg yolks causing you to have unfavorable cholesterol numbers. So that is off the table. Eggs are one of the most nutrient dense foods on the planet. So we can safely eat eggs daily. If you like them, of course. So let's say I'm going to have a breakfast and I really want to get that 25 grams in. Maybe I'll have 3 eggs because maybe 4 might be a little bit too much. Like I don't want to eat that many eggs. And then I'm still a little short on protein, right? Because that's 18 grams. So now I might get 3 chicken links. Costco, for example, sells an organic chicken breakfast link and they're delicious. And for 3 links, it's 12 grams of protein. So now I have 3 eggs and I have 3 chicken links. And then maybe I have a cup of berries or I have a couple pieces of watermelon. So I'm getting some carbohydrates, I'm getting some fat, and I'm getting protein, and it's in the right balance. Okay. And I'm very satiated. Another breakfast idea can be leftover from your dinner the night before. Guys, breakfast doesn't have to look like what we've been brainwashed to think breakfast is. So breakfast became a really big business, right? When they came out with cereals and Pop Tarts and all these things that they label as breakfast. Orange juice and toast. This is just trickery in marketing. So guess what? If you had maybe you made some chicken thighs last night with some baked vegetables, maybe a combination of, carrots and squash or Japanese yams or sweet potatoes. And you still have some in the fridge because you put the leftovers in there. So it's the morning and I want to get some protein and the chicken looks really good. So I'm going to have some chicken and I'm going to have some vegetables with it. So that could be breakfast. Another really great idea is people are very low in potassium, and potassium is one of those nutrients. It's not so sexy, not sexy like magnesium, like everybody knows about magnesium. Um, and that's very important, by the way. We are still have a large percentage of people that are very deficient in magnesium. So I'm not putting magnesium down, but I'm just going to highlight potassium here because potassium is one of our four main minerals and it's an electrolyte. And if you're deficient in it, there's going to be problems in your body. So a good way to get extra potassium would be to make a potassium smoothie, a potassium rich smoothie. Coconut water is a great source of potassium. So I make a potassium smoothie with coconut water. I'm going to add about a half of an avocado because I need a good fat. Okay. It's also high in potassium. And maybe I want to add some sweetness as well. So I'm going to add some berries and maybe I'm going to throw in a half a banana. Banana is a higher source of protein as well. And again, there are some caveats, right? So we have to look at, are you insulin resistant? Are you type 2 diabetic? We have to be careful of too much sugar, even natural sugar. But let's just say this is a very nutrient dense shake. And now I'm going to add a high quality protein. I have a protein that I use. It's a New Zealand grass-fed whey protein. It's from Vicon, and that company is awesome. I have it in my link in my bio. It's my linked tree. I'll add it actually to the bottom here of the show notes because we know that it's been third-party tested. Not every protein powder that you buy that just says whey protein on it, or even New Zealand, you can trust that actually is. So this is actually the real deal. So a scoop of this protein is going to yield me 20 to 30 grams of protein. Now I have my coconut water. I have some avocado to make this shake really creamy and nutrient dense. I have some banana and I have some berries and I have some ice, and I just made an amazing smoothie. That's also an opportunity where I mix in my nutrients. So some of my clients listening to this are using a custom compound powder if they have done a hair test with me. And this is a delicious way to mix in your nutrients. You get your breakfast and your vitamins all in one shot. So you can see how you can change this around. Now, what about intermittent fasting? Because that has been something that I've actually promoted for many, many years. I did it myself, and I think intermittent fasting is great. But let's just identify what intermittent fasting is. Intermittent fasting means that you have a certain eating window and you have a certain fasting window. So we're always intermittent fasting because I'm assuming you're not eating while you're sleeping. So there's always going to be an eating window and a fasting window. The term intermittent fasting is just about how many hours are you eating and how many hours are you fasting. So I'm sure that you've heard a lot of advice about shortening your eating window, and that's a really good way to lose fat. And that is true. There are some great studies about that, but I need to tell you, and I need to qualify this, that too much fasting, especially for women, can really diminish your ability to make hormones. We do have to be careful with too low carb and too much fasting. And the other thing with that is that fasting is best on the back end of the day. Breakfast is not something we want to skip. So if you are doing that, and if I actually told you to do that within the last 15 years, I'm actually changing my recommendations on that. I actually want you to eat breakfast. And I want you to eat within an hour of getting up. You know why? The cells in your body do not know what time it is. They don't have a clock, okay? The cells in your body are completely initiated and turned on by the sun and by eating. So when you get up in the morning, the first thing that you want to do is make your way outside. What if it's raining, Sheila? What if it's very cold out? If it's not ideal for you to get outside, but if it is cold, you should still be able to get outside to expose your naked eyes to the sun. Now, if you can do this at sunrise, awesome. There's an app called My Circadian app. You can download it and put in your location. It's a free app. You do not have to pay for the upgrade. And it's going to tell you exactly what time sunrise is in your area. And then it's going to tell you when UVA rises. So UVA rises approximately an hour after sunrise. So let's say you can get up for sunrise. And right now that's about 6:30. So it's not that bad. It's not like in the summer when it's very early, about 5:15 or 5:30. So we're starting to get later with sunrise. This will turn, why am I saying this when we're talking about fat loss and jump starting your wellness journey? This is a vital foundational piece and it can move the needle more than you can imagine. So do me a favor and try it and just try it. And this is going to set you up for a good night's sleep, which is when you're going to be repairing your body. This is going to set you up for your digestive hormones and your fat burning hormones to start initiating, getting started in your body for the day. So I go outside, I expose my eyes to the sun, the sunrise, and then within an hour, I want to eat because now I want to keep that going. I want to tell my body it's time. So we want to nourish our body with protein and fat, good fat. Okay. That's the priority. So a bowl of cereal and skim milk is not going to nourish your body. It's going to fill you up with carbohydrates and start an insulin rise. In the presence of insulin, we can't lose fat. So that's really important to know. Some people don't believe that they have insulin problems unless they're type 2 diabetic or pre-diabetic. That is not true. You can be metabolically broken, have insulin resistance, and have metabolic syndrome, having a normal A1C of 5.1. Okay, the way you can find that out is ask your doctor when they do your blood work next time is to take a fasted insulin level. It should be 6 or under. If you are a 15 or a 25, you have insulin resistance. And some people have said to me, but I don't understand. I don't have type 2 diabetes. And I always say, you will. It just might take time. But I'll tell you what metabolic syndrome will do. It'll prevent you from losing weight, period. So we don't want to start our day with a bagel, an English muffin, toast, orange juice. These are things that are going to spike blood sugar and initiate the body to release insulin because insulin's only job is to clear sugar from the blood. And then that insulin moves the sugar into cells. But the cells get full and they say no more customers. And then we have excess insulin and sugar floating around in the body. And that insulin sends a message to the body. It says, store fat. Your body speaks in hormones. It does not speak English. So what do we do first? We get up early, we go outside, we expose ourselves to the sun. Then, like I said, we eat breakfast. Then we have UVA rise. During UVA rise, if you can get your body outside for a morning walk, perfect time. If you can just get outside on in your backyard and put your feet to the grass for grounding. What if it's freezing out? Touch a tree, because this is how we're charging ourselves. I know you don't go a day without charging your cell phone, but yet we go weeks, months, years without charging our own body. We get charged by the earth. Okay, so it's called earthing or grounding. You can do more research on that. There's a great documentary about called Earthing on Netflix. You can check out. A lot of power in that. The UVA lights will also, again, get melatonin started for the day, so it sets you up for a good night's sleep. What if you're driving to work and you're like, Sheila, I don't know, I have to get up in the morning and get and hustle and get ready. Well, listen, even if you can open your window, the light will come in. Okay. So it's not, you don't have to be directly in it. And if you're driving to work, just crack your window. And so you're able to get the benefits of that. And then throughout the day, instead of taking smoke breaks, take sun breaks. You go outside, even if it's for 2 minutes, and expose yourself. Remember, we don't want sunglasses on when we do this because this is your eyes are the window into your brain. And the brain is where is where the stimulation comes from and all the messages that the light is giving us. Okay, so I won't, that can be a whole, another topic, circadian biology. I'm just giving you these quick tips. Where can I start? So now we know we go outside, we try to get outside for UVA rise, we eat breakfast between those two times. And we want to have something that's higher protein. We want some good fat involved, and we can have some carbohydrates, of course, coming from a whole food source. So now it's like, well, what do we do at lunch? Okay, so now we've had breakfast and now it's lunchtime. And maybe you're really busy during the day, and maybe you're working or you're driving around, you're running errands, and it's not so convenient to like make a meal. And I think that that's the misconception where, sorry, this is real life happening. My dog is wanting to play and squeezing his toy. So just ignore that. Anyway, I tell people, there's some great snacks out there. Like, let's talk about grass-fed meat sticks. Okay. They sell them at Costco. They're 100% grass-fed. And they also sell this new product. It's like, it's in a bag. It's called sweet potato fries, but they're only 100% organic sweet potatoes. Honestly, I always have them in my bag because sometimes I'm out and about and I may get hungry and maybe ate breakfast early and it's now 2 o'clock. So now I always bring, my Vicon vitamins with me if I'm going to be out and about in a shaker bottle and I need to eat something. So I might have two meat sticks and some sweet potato fries. And then in my drink that I bring with me, I always add a little bit of protein powder. I don't usually have a full amount because I'm eating some protein. Let's go to dinner. Well, dinner looks like can be very basic. It doesn't have to be. A lot of people don't feel like they don't have time to cook. Plan ahead, check out the diet doctor, look at some basic dinners. So let me give you a couple of examples. I love chicken thighs. So again, I try to there's always okay, good, better, and best. The best is going to be your pasture raised chicken. Okay. A pretty good choice would be Bell and Evans, for example, organic. Okay. So it's not pastured, but it's air chilled. It tastes really good. They're easily, you can easily buy them at most stores. So let's say I go food shopping. I'm thinking of I want to have enough for like 3 to 4 meals. Let me get chicken thighs. Let me get grass-fed ground beef. Maybe I'll get wild salmon, and maybe burgers. I mean, I'm just being very basic here. So last night, I put chicken thighs on a baking sheet. And again, be careful of aluminum. Again, we always want to watch. I'm just giving you little tips of these things. You don't have to be perfect. Don't put perfection over consistency and doing your best. So I put the chicken thighs on there. I used one of those brushes. I painted them with organic olive oil. I put all my seasonings on it. I put it in the oven, and that's it. I happen to have coleslaw that I made a night before. So all I did was pull the extra coleslaw out. I made the coleslaw with a bag of organic cabbage. I used avocado mayonnaise. I used some extra virgin olive oil. I used cut up organic cucumbers and tomatoes. And I also had leftover Japanese yams that I had made the night before that I made just in the oven. Okay. So I didn't have to like spend a lot of time in the kitchen making a meal. I sometimes make things in abundance. So there's leftovers for a couple days that you can put with your protein. Okay. What if I love doing this. I love getting grass-fed ground beef. You can get that at most food stores. I do prefer to buy it from a butcher that is using a local farm. You do the best you can. And I just brown that in my pan. and I use Siete taco seasoning. Why do I use Siete? I haven't found another one. It's not organic. I wish it was organic, but it's non-GMO. But I like the ingredients over some of the organic ones that they sell that contain some other things like corn starch and things like that. I like the ingredients in Siete better. So let me know if you have another brand that you like. And I'll make a taco meat. And I happen to like Siete chips too. They come now in corn. If you are somebody that likes corn chips, they have the grain-free chips if somebody's grain-free. And I just get the, shredded organic Mexican cheese and organic pasture-raised sour cream. All I did was pull the other stuff out of the fridge in the cabinet, and that's dinner. So I got carbohydrates from my chips. I don't overdo it. You can pull out a serving size. I have a nice amount of meat, at least 6 ounces, and then I throw in some sour cream. And so that's what I do. You could make that also with if I have more time, sometimes I make a salad with romaine lettuce. Like, when you put the shredded lettuce on top of tacos, I'll make a romaine salad. And if I have time, I'll use fresh cilantro, olive oil, and make like a pesto and then white vinegar, and I'll make like a pesto dressing. And that's really delicious. But yeah, that's a little bit more time consuming, so I don't always do that. Let's say I buy salmon. Now, fish is another topic that we do have to worry about mercury and we have to worry about microplastics. There is a company called Seatopia. If you haven't heard of it, you can check it out. You can buy completely clean fish with no mercury and no microplastics. They are raised in pristine waters. And again, this may not be an option for some people. It may be a little bit more pricey. So I do the best I can. I get a wild king salmon. I look at the source. I don't just buy a farm raised from a local food store. Sometimes actually farm raised because you would consider actually Seatopia to be farm raised, but it's optimally raised. We're probably going to be seeing more of this in the future because of the contamination in our oceans. But I don't do anything crazy. I put the salmon on the baking sheet, and I I put some butter on it, and squeeze some lemon, and I put it in the oven. Super simple. And again, maybe I don't have time to cut up my Japanese yams and make them with coconut oil. Sometimes I just bake them. Maybe I make a salad. It doesn't have to be this big, huge meal. So I want you to start thinking of that. And then having some things as go-to. I mean, what else I like to buy and have, and this is really good for lunch. It's good for breakfast and it's good for dinner. I get organic chicken burgers from Costco. All I have to do is put them in the toaster oven. I air fry them so that they get browned. And it's a high protein. Each burger, I think, contains 19 grams of protein. I have two. And again, I can have that by itself. So I just want you to start thinking about healthy, simple ways of getting real food in your body, because we often fall into this, I don't have time. Here's the thing. We don't fail to plan. We don't plan to fail. We fail to plan. So you do have to know every single day, unless you're doing a planned fast, you're eating. So start thinking about, what am I going to eat for the next couple days? And do I have the ingredients I need? Do I have the basics that I need? And I promise you, it's such a freeing thing. You don't have to get takeout. Takeout is not going to be good for you. So no matter how you cut it is not the best option unless you live by a Cave Bistro in Avon, New Jersey that, has amazing clean food that doesn't use any bad fats and is 100% gluten-free. It's not accessible to everybody. And we don't have a lot of those restaurants yet in circulation. So, and you're paying a lot more money. Another great thing to buy at Costco is their grass-fed burgers. I always have them in the freezer. So, don't have anything prepared, I'm going to throw some burgers on the grill. And then, like I said, having some like basic items always in the refrigerator that you can throw together a salad, or you have some, potatoes to bake or something like that, can make it super simple. So I hope that that helped. Usually I go through specific like items. So I gave you some ideas like with the keto, um, perfect keto website and having some snack ideas. These are some, we have a lot of access to things. So you do need to be careful of your sources. But if you're looking at the ingredients, then, you can always be in charge and empowered. I didn't really touch on hydration. So I'd like to talk about water really quick. So water is really important, but I don't want you drinking just boatloads of plain water because actually that'll wash away a lot of the minerals in your body. So we want to remineralize the water if we can. I like using electrolytes. Personally, I use Jigsaw potassium cocktail. One, it tastes delicious, and two, I need potassium. So it's by Jigsaw. It's called Potassium Cocktail. They come in orange and a blue raspberry. I add that to my water all the time. You can also just simply like take a quality sea salt, like Redmond's real salt, and you can take some and put it in your water and squeeze some lemon. You can use some of the electrolytes on the market don't really have enough ingredients, like enough sodium or enough potassium or enough magnesium. But you do the best you can and look for something that at least you're putting some sodium or some potassium in your water. Because that's really important. Otherwise, we're not actually retaining our water. So, one of the signs, if you're drinking water and you're like, I have to pee all day long, it's just going right through you. So you shouldn't have to run to the bathroom every minute. You should be able to go hours without going to the bathroom. So that's a good gauge. Okay. So if you're doing that, you probably need some more sodium. And like I said, Redmond's real salt is a really good source. I love potassium cocktails by Jigsaw. And we covered reading labels. We covered breakfast doesn't have to look like breakfast. We covered some basic circadian biology. We covered what not to eat, what to look for on the ingredient label. No seed oils, no added sugar, red dyes, all kinds of that funky natural flavors. You can scan your food. So if you download, okay, so there's two apps I'm going to recommend. One is um, Bobby approved. It's a free app. You can just scan your food and he may not approve it, but he'll show you why. What is the ingredient in that food that he's not approving? It may be natural flavors. It may be sugar. It may be canola oil. So you can check that out. That's a really good app. He also has some shopping lists like for Aldi and Walmart, Costco, things like that. So that's a really great resource. I love, love, love my app, Switch Natural. Switch Natural is a paid app. So I think you pay $20 forever. And you actually don't scan the ingredients, you take a picture of the ingredients and you scan that. So if you have this applies to personal care products and food. I use it mostly for personal care products, and you'd be surprised that a lot of these clean are not clean. So we're going to dive more into that another time because I've had Sasha on our Wellness Wednesday before, and she's an expert in this. So she's taught me a lot, actually, and I love her information and how she presents it. So just to recap, morning habits, getting outside, grounding if you can, even if you have to open a window, if you're driving to work and you crack the window open, getting out throughout the day. So this is going to help with your metabolism. It's going to help with your good night's sleep, eating within an hour of getting up. Don't fast in the morning. If you're going to fast, skip dinner. Have a bigger breakfast and a bigger lunch and maybe a small snack before 5 o'clock. If you want to give yourself a longer fasting window, because the longer you go without eating and drinking before, well, not really drinking water, but eating food or calories, the better you're going to sleep because your body's not working on breaking down that food. Getting to the point where you're having 3 meals, no snacking, prioritizing protein and how to get that. And breakfast doesn't have to look like breakfast. Movement we didn't talk about, but move your body. A lot of us are sitting all day. I sit a lot often because I'm on my computer a lot. But what I try to do is every 45 minutes, I get up, 2 minutes of walking around, whether it's outside or inside, jumping jacks, push-ups, 2 minutes of movement. Try to get out, try to get those 10,000 steps a day. I do wear, I don't have it on right now, an Oura ring. And what I like about Oura ring is it will keep your steps. It'll measure your sleep. How well are you sleeping? How much REM are you getting? How much deep sleep? What's your temperature? What's your stress for the day? It has some great features on that ring. But one of the best features is I could shut off the Bluetooth on it. So what I do is I go onto the app and I could shut off the Bluetooth. And so I'm not getting that Wi-Fi non-native EMFs on my body all day. So that's why I stopped wearing my Apple Watch. I do wear my Apple Watch when I work out, and then I take it off. So if you are sleeping with that, wearing that all day, you might want to consider to switch over to an Oura ring because you can turn off the Bluetooth. And then what happens is when you take it off and you put it on the charger and you open the app on your phone, it'll download all the information. So I know I went off on some tangents. I literally love talking about all this stuff. It's what I do all day. Even when I don't consider what I do work. It's my mission in life. It's my passion. It's my purpose. So I'm here for you. I hope you got something out of this. If you don't, if you're not on my email list, please message me, or you can message me on Instagram, or I'm Wellness Expert Sheila on Instagram, or you can leave me a comment on the YouTube, or get my phone number from your friend that sent you this video. And I really want you to be part of my community. I'm really excited about some new programs that I'm launching this week to support you better, to give you more access to coaching, and because this is a journey. We've been very programmed for sometimes, in some cases, decades of what is healthy, what should we be doing. Um, and we have to reprogram what we believe about nutrition, about the sun, about all the things that may have been demonized in the past that we know that actually is healthy, and they were trying to suppress us. The pharmaceutical companies are really looking for lifetime customers. So once you get on the pharmaceutical treadmill, you may find yourself on multiple medications that are actually just suppressing maybe some symptoms, but causing a lot of other imbalances in your body. So anyway, on that note, I hope that I got you motivated to shop, to cook, to prepare, check out the Diet Doctor, check out a food scale, and check out my website and any resources that I have available. And I hope this helped you, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Have a great day, and I'll see you next Wednesday. So sign up for next week's Wellness Wednesday.